Ladies and gentlemen, special treat for you today. We're in a 2020 Lotus Evora GT automatic. And my God, in Daytona Blue, this car is quite a looker. The Daytona Blue is a $6,000 option, arguably one of the best colors for this car. This is, of course, the direct predecessor to the Emira, which recently was released. We have double wishbone suspension in all four corners, 19-inch wheels up front, 20s in the rear. What a looker. It's powered by a Toyota V6 with an Edelbrock supercharger, 416 horsepower, 317 pound-feet of torque. And they took this car very seriously. They really upped the cooling, as an example. The front radiator, the main radiator, is tilted downward to increase the high pressure to help with that cooling. Unlike the competitors, unlike the Porsches, you do not have any frunk space. These AP Racing brakes are pretty massive, if I do say so myself. Now, Lotus takes aerodynamics pretty seriously. The entire bottom of this car is entirely flat, which helps, of course, with low pressure, with more stability, more downforce at speed. You have a three-part chassis. Of course, the tub that the driver and passenger sit in, and then the front and rear subframes. Everything is aluminum and connected with body adhesives, no welding. And with that being said, let's see how this bad boy drives. Oh, I love that we have a manual handbrake, old-fashioned. You know, the seating position in this car is a little bit higher than I would like, even at the lowest position. And the headrest, not built for tall people. It kind of hitting my traps a little bit. Buddy. All right. Now in the automatic, we have a traditional torque converter 6-speed. Woo, baby! We're in race mode right now, which helps with throttle response and reduces the traction and stability management. Less intrusive. Steering in these Lotuses, oh my God, hydraulic rack is sublime. Lotus makes the best steering racks in the game, in the industry, by far, hands down. So much feedback, so much precision, perfect weighting. Oh yeah, I can feel every little nook and cranny through the steering wheel. Double wishbone suspension in all four corners. Helps gives me that negative camber as the front wheels load up. Suspension tuning on this car is actually quite good. The damping is it feels like very high quality dampers because I'm able to feel what I want to feel, but nothing is harsh. Even on this Mines road, which is not the smoothest surface by any means. Now I'm glad that the paddles are at least on the steering wheel. They feel high quality, but of course I would prefer this car in a manual transmission. Now, when you're driving the car slower, the automatic transmission is quite slow and a little bit frustrating, but I noticed as you open it up, as you push it a little bit, the shifts are faster. And it's no longer a sore spot. It kind of gets out of the way for you. Compared to the Porsche, the build quality, I mean, you hear so many more squeaks and rattles, even though this car only has 7,000 miles on it. The attention to detail on little things, like having this reflective surface right here above the instrument cluster, it's very reflective, so on the way up, with the sun shining, it was blinding me. Small little things like that makes this feel like it shows that Lotus is a much smaller car manufacturer than Porsche. Oh yeah, the steering, baby, the steering! Who would have thought that a Camry V6 could sound this good? What a beautiful sounding V6. Some people don't like the supercharger whine. I don't mind it at all. Now the brakes, I feel like the first initial, let's say, centimeter of travel doesn't have much bite to it. After that, it's easy to modulate. Yeah, this is soaking up these bumps fantastically. Now, it's easy to modulate when you get on the brakes, but that initial bite is a little bit lacking, a little bit took me a couple breaks to get used to, because initially it doesn't inspire that much confidence. But after that, very firm. Yeah, this is just such a driver's car. This is raw. This is what you want on your weekend cruiser. This is not the car that you want a daily. The Porsche Cayman, that's your daily sports car, the one that you can take on the weekends and enjoy, but also go to and from work in. This is more raw. Oh, this beautiful, delicious downshifts, baby! Yeah, this double wishbone suspension is really, really doing a good job in handling the, when I was driving the Emira in Vegas, I was getting some understeer on throttle input, but I'm not getting any of that right now. I wish the seats had a little bit more lateral bolstering. I'm sliding around ever so slightly. I'm 6'1", 175 pounds, a little bit on the skinnier side. Oh, yes. Now, I have driven an Evora GT stick shift as well in the past, but I had 3 passengers. Yeah, believe it or not, this is a 4-seater. I had the salesman in the passenger seat, his son behind him, and my ex-girlfriend, well, girlfriend at the time, who was also pretty small, sitting behind me. So it's nice to actually drive this car without the added weight, because it is quite nimble. Now, it is 3157, a little bit heavier than a Porsche Cayman, which is around 100, 120 pounds lighter. By Lotus standards, this is heavy. By modern standards, compared to anything else, this is a very lightweight, nimble car. God, the steering is so good. It's perfect. The weighting, the accuracy, the speed, the ratio. Remember the 4 elements of steering: the feedback, the accuracy, lateral slop, and weighting. And the speed, of course. God, it's just so good. Stop and see how this does from a dig. Beautiful exhaust note. All right, we're not going to brake launch this, let's just do a straight. All right. The power is very adequate. It's not a car that's going to rip your face off with acceleration. But it also doesn't make you feel like it's lacking in power at all. Now, compared to the 718 Cayman GTS, a much more raw experience. The steering is alive with feedback. There are more creaks and rattles. The NVH, it's a little bit harsher overall, but it's a more rewarding car to drive too. The Porsche is trying to be a comfortable sports car to a lot of people, something that they can even daily and enjoy regularly, whereas the Lotus is going for the occasion. The Lotus is going for the theater, the excitement, the raw, visceral nature of driving. It's one of those cars that rewards you the more you push it. And while I would definitely suggest getting this in a 6-speed manual to really get the full experience out of it, even though Lotus transmissions are not the, at least in this generation of vehicle, are not the strongest suit, this is just such a driver-centric, emotional place to be. And of course, in the best way possible. Yeah. Now, I just drove the Lotus Emira in Las Vegas recently, and you can really see where the money from Geely went, because the fit and finish, the polish, the interior quality on that car is miles beyond this. It's a completely different experience. Even the the handbrake here, it's kind of like this, it kind of gets stuck here and then it pops down. It almost feels like something is wrong with it. And the rattles are quite prominent. There's a lot of different rattles. There's at least 3 different spots that were consistent on the drive. The new Emira is a very similar driving experience, actually. The steering on both cars very similar. The whole chassis, the cars themselves are quite similar. I'd have to drive them back to back on the same road to really tell you with confidence what those minor differences are. But off the bat, I can say build quality, obviously huge. I prefer the seats in the Emira definitely over the Evora seats. And I did actually love the 6-speed manual in the Lotus Emira. You can watch the video up here. Anyways, my friends, thank you for watching. Let me know what you guys think. Would you get the Lotus Emira or the Lotus Evora? Both fantastic vehicles. Leave a comment down below. Much love, my friends, and I'll see you guys in that next one.